afternoon. I'm on camera 2. Hi, this is Jeff, and this is the CNL2 48th Parallel News at Noon show. Formerly, we used to call this, hey, what's going on around here? We'll have to bring that back in some other form. With me is Heather Spaulding, the editor of the Journal of the San Juan Islands.
Hello.
And Heather, introduce our excellent, wonderful guest.
Yeah, so today we have Maria Magana-Navarro with us. She has been our intern at the Journal since September. I think her quarter actually just wrapped up, but we want to bring her in and have her talk about all kinds of different stuff. So, yeah,
Cool.
Welcome, Maria.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. So, sorry we got a little bit of a late start. Everybody knows. I guess you can start to just plan to join us at about 12:05 for a while. But Jeremy has a lot of things going on back there, and every day it seems a little bit. The gremlins get in a different part of our setup, and it takes a few minutes to figure out where today's gremlins are. But he does a good job of getting us on the air.
Yeah, he does.
Pretty quick. Before we get started and Heather starts to talk about the stories that you're finding in today's paper, just a reminder, we've got a week and a half, I don't know the exact cutoff day, but we've got at least another week to participate in thank you Jeremy, the survey. They call it a short survey of your experiences with inter-island ferries. This data will help the community water taxi folks hopefully land money, serious state money, to stand up a private public water taxi, especially to help people from the other islands connect to Friday Harbor, but I think it's, to connect all different ways. Mm-hmm. I know they have helped people make chemotherapy appointments at the hospital. They have helped many, many people just show up for work that wouldn't. We had a canceled morning run yesterday, I believe. We had a good long streak there. January was pretty good about not having a lot of cancellations after a terrible, terrible December. And so we had another one yesterday. So if you fill out the survey, there's a QR code there. Just take a picture of that QR code. It should take you straight to the survey, and costs you nothing except a few minutes. They can use that data in talking with the state and designing, the best possible system. And, in the long run, what we're talking about here is a subsidy that drives the cost, that drives the fare down. So please do that. Okay. Heather,
Yes.
what can people look forward to when they get the paper today?
Well, a fun story is our annual baby derby. So we've got that published. The first baby of the year on San Juan Island that we are aware of, anyway, is Remington Calvo Wilson. And he was born in Anacortes, and his parents are Coral Wilson and Daniel Calvo. It's their first baby, and it's kind of exciting because Coral did not think she was going to be able to have kids. So he was definitely a surprise for her in a very good way. And congratulations.
And what did they win? What did they win?
They won a bunch of different grocery certificates and a certificate at IPS. They, of course, won a journal 6-month subscription, I think, is what we usually do. And Be Chic. They won a $50 gift certificate at
nice.
Be Chic.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, some helpful things,
congratulations.
some fun things.
And it says so much to me that you can sit here and remember all those details. And we're so lucky to have an editor who is so deeply engaged and invested in the community.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean that. So
I do.
we are lucky,
I
folks.
appreciate it.
Where am I? Jeremy, am I 2 or 3 today? 2? Which is mine?
Your headset?
Camera. 3. Okay. I just want to be able to talk to you. Sorry. I don't want to be like talking here when you're watching over here. So, it's so important that we have a strong newspaper here. And it would be a good time if you're not a subscriber to subscribe. It would help an awful lot. It's a really good value. Is it still $5.95 for 4 weeks? $5.95?
I think that's about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's $70 a year if you do the paper subscription.
Yeah.
And you get the digital access as well with that. And then if you just want digital access, it's $5 a month. So
Bargain. I think it's 6. It's a bargain.
Yeah.
It's $6 for 4 weeks. So they do that so that they can pick one extra. 'Cause there's 13 of those instead of 12, so they get
Right.
one extra $6. But what a value! And the local newspaper keeps the politicians honest. It keeps the nonprofits strong, and it just lets us know what's going on.
Yeah.
So you do a beautiful job,
Thank you.
and we're lucky to have you. Speaking of beautiful jobs, you've done some beautiful reporting.
She
Thank
has.
you.
Kinda have a
Very
gift.
appreciative of the work that she has done. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to say, congratulations on the baby and all the awards. You're already ahead of the game. But also, it just strikes me how good you are at this.
Well, thank you. Well, I love this community. I've been here long enough, so it's sort of I feel like it's a good fit.
Okay. So what else you got?
So what else we've got? We have the winners of the NASA. There were 4 students, and I actually don't recall their names. Maybe you can help me with the 4 students that won the NASA contest. It was Isabel Ashley that wrote that, our other reporter. And it's a pretty big deal. There was 60 teams, I believe, so we were one of 60 that won, and I think there was a cash prize at the end of it. They had to come up with a proposal to launch something out of a hot air balloon, something along those lines.
What do you know, Maria?
Yeah,
What do you know about all this?
I do know the students' names that won that award. I don't know if I remember their exact last names, but it was Flora Vaught. She's a sophomore. Grayson, he's also a sophomore. Kira Clark, junior, and then Megan Mellinger. She's also a junior. So yeah, I do know them in school. I've seen them around. I've talked to them, and I've congratulated them. Like, good job on the NASA thing.
Yay. Yeah, that's so very cool. How excited were they about it?
They were pretty excited. A box came in, and it was from NASA. I think it was their prize or that came into because I have anatomy 6th period, and then some of the winners are in my class. So we all saw it come in, and then our teacher, he had the winners up on a projector in the middle of the classroom.
Can you imagine
That's
getting a
so
prize
cool.
from NASA?
I
A
know.
delivery. Here's your delivery
can't.
from NASA. Here's your box from NASA. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God. That'd be incredible.
That is, excuse me, very incredible.
We got into a conversation last week, with Heather here about the quality of the schools here. Are you proud of your school?
Yeah, the school offers a lot of classes. All the teachers are really good, I'd say. Yeah, all the teachers are good. The classes are really good. The extracurriculars that the school offers, I've really enjoyed so far. So the school has a pretty strong sense of community, and they have a strong education backing that.
Nice. And do you feel like they do a fair job at when you can't get resources on this island, that they do a fair job of making up for that somehow and helping get students get all the resources they need?
Yeah, they definitely do help. I have actually had some family members who've come to the island who've really needed that help, and I've personally been talking with the school, and they really are very supportive. They offer a lot of resources to help students that might not have access to those resources.
Nice. That's the feeling that I get, but I want to make sure that's correct.
Oh no, don't worry, you're correct.
Well, it says something about the schools.
It
You
does.
you say something about the schools, your maturity and your articulateness. What a word to blow, articulateness. I don't think that's an actual word. Ooh, that's a bad one. But you represent the school very well. I mean, it says a lot. You say a lot about the school that you go to. So.
No, you did such a great job writing for us. Did you enjoy doing that?
I did enjoy doing them. It was really fun because how it was mentioned to me is since I'm a senior, I need credits to graduate, and I'm doing more running start classes compared to in-person classes. And the counselor, she mentioned to me, hey, because we've been talking about possibly me doing an internship, and I was originally going to do an internship in the hospital. So how how life changes? I was going to do an internship in the hospital, and now I'm doing an internship for the local newspaper. So a lot of teachers told me they really like my writing, and the counselor, she also knows. So she mentioned to me, hey, Heather down at the journal, she's actually looking for interns. I'm just like, oh, that's very interesting. I like writing, and I want to get hours in and have it look good for my high school transcript. So, might as well. And I've actually really enjoyed it.
Yay.
So,
What have you learned in your writing at your internship?
kind of how to really communicate more with people. I've always been a pretty social person, but when it came to interviews, because most of the articles I've written, I've had to talk to other people and have interviews for that, it's kind of me figuring out how I want the structure of what I write to flow. Because let me take, for example, the COVID article. I set it up with this timeline of event, explanation, and then kind of what message I want to get across to my audience. That is a rhetorical choice that I really learned in one of my classes that I took in the school, AP English Language and Composition. We really learned of when you write an essays, because those essays are timed. You have to write them within a specific time frame. You have to identify who your audience is. And for me, learning who I want to write to and who I want to appeal the most to is definitely one of the skills I really refined in my time doing an internship at the journal.
Nice.
Okay, so if anybody's wondering about the quality of the education here, there you go.
There you go.
I think we can put that to bed. There's nothing to worry about. These kids are getting a great education in this school.
They are.
Period.
Absolutely.
Period.
So in AP English, did you learn like AP style too, and the way different newspapers write? Was that a part of that?
One of the when I learned about newspaper is when in my sophomore English class, when we did a small little unit on journalism, and I actually ended up really enjoying that because our teacher, she's retired right now. Our teacher wanted us to write a feature article. She kind of told us all about the different types of articles, like feature articles, personal editorials, or just articles that are just purely fact-based and doesn't have input from the person who writes it. All of that stuff is kind of what I learned. And with the AP English class, I really learned how to use specific tools and skills, like exigence, my audience, my word choice, pathos, ethos, logos, all of that is what I learned.
I don't even know some of that stuff. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's so very
That's
cool.
awesome.
I'm glad to hear that is available in the school.
Oh man.
I don't think that was available when I was there. Although we did have a school paper. Do you guys have a school paper at all?
We do have a school paper, actually. I think that was introduced this year.
Ah, okay.
Do you have a school TV station?
No, but that would be really good. Unfortunately, I graduate this year, so if
We'll
that
talk
would
tomorrow.
happen-
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
Tomorrow.
that tomorrow at the school.
Yep.
You think that would be good? You think the kids would like it?
Yeah, I do think some. I definitely do think some would be interested in it, but really, some people are more to themselves than they are outwards. But there's definitely people who like to discuss their opinions, like to discuss their thoughts, kind of how I am right here.
Well,
So, yeah.
there's also they call it back of house part of this, the tech stuff and staging and
Cameras.
IT, camera, so there's it's kind of like the school play. There's really a role for everybody, either the front on stage or behind. So, yeah, we can deal with every personality type in a TV setting.
Oh yeah, definitely. If it was brought up, that would be very interesting and it'd be really nice to have in the school. Fortunately, not for me since we're graduating this year, but definitely for future high schoolers, it'd be nice if they had that opportunity available to them.
Excellent. And do you think we could work journalism into that too, even though you have a school paper? think kids would be
The
interested
school
in that.
paper, I don't want to say like, oh, I didn't know about that, but I really didn't know about it until I figured out that some of my friends were doing it, and I think the school newspaper is actually connected to one of the classes that is offered at the high school, but yeah, it's there, but definitely a journalism unit. That'd be so fun to have in the high school, especially because I really enjoyed all the journaling units and everything I've learned about essays in the classes I've taken in the high school.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So any other stories come to mind?
Let's see. What else do we have? We have a front pager on flying squirrels.
Oh.
We have flying squirrels
Now,
on the island. I don't know.
This is important. This one's important. Okay, so let's hear about the flying squirrels.
So I did not know we had flying squirrels on the island until I was at least in my 20s. And it turns out we do have them, and hardly anyone sees them. They are very, very shy, and there's not that many of them. They live like way deep on the high woods, so like on Katy Mountain and Mount Dallas.
Now, is this a
up in
squirrel
there.
that climbs up a tree and jumps? Okay, they
Spreads
don't
its
actually like take
all,
off.
like-
Right.
No,
they
they
sail.
spread their arms out, and they've got skin that goes between their
Yeah,
legs,
sailing,
and they sail.
sailing squirrels.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I know. We're the only island in the archipelago that has them. So that's kind of a funny little thing.
Does anybody have video or pictures of these guys?
There are some pictures, no videos that I'm aware of. Because hardly anyone sees them. The only accounts are a few people whose cats have caught them. And, or that, like, I guess there's been a couple of occasions where they've glided into windows or something. So
Yeah.
they found them that way.
So $25 from CNL2 to anybody who can bring in video that can be authenticated to this island of a flying, sailing squirrel. $25. It's yours. Bring it in.
So the theory of how they got here, and I guess this happens quite often, is on a log. Like logs came out, for example, out of the Fraser River where there were flying squirrels, and then it landed here. And then we had flying squirrels. And I guess that happened. We have some lizards on the island, and that happened with them, we think, as well.
How did the foxes get here?
That actually, they were brought here. They were brought here to contain the rabbits. So it was sort of one of those little old lady lived in a shoe or swallowed the spider, one of those things.
Okay, I don't know what that is. It sounds
One of those
interesting.
nursery rhymes, have you
Yeah.
heard that nursery rhyme
Yeah.
with the little old lady who swallowed a spider and then she swallowed a fly and swallowed the spider to get rid of the fly.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
And then
Well,
it goes on and on and on and on. So we brought rabbits, then the rabbits got out of control. We brought the foxes to get rid of the rabbits, and then on and on and on.
there's foxes everywhere.
That's what I'm trying
and they're
to
not
say.
native, and
Right.
but people love them. The tourists love them. Everybody loves the foxes.
Yes.
You got to love the foxes. But well, yeah, flying squirrels. We need to be on the lookout. Is there a part of the island? Did you say there's a certain area where they're seen the most?
Yes, on Katy and Mount Dallas. So they're high wooded areas.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are two of the prime
Okay.
areas.
I'm close to Mount Dallas, I think.
There you go.
So we'll be looking out.
Yeah. And they're nocturnal, of course, so have to go out at night.
Wouldn't that be cool? But it kind of look
I've
like
been
a
wanting to
bat.
see one.
Wouldn't it look like a bat a little bit, though?
Maybe a little, but the flying obviously is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more of a glide than a flapping.
There's gonna be no
motion.
flapping wings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I want to see them take off. I want to see a squirrel take off. That'd be cool. Well, anyway, yeah, that's really cool.
Oh, we've got a picture of one on the front page. It's a baby that somehow got injured, and so it's in somebody's hand, and it's just tiny little guy.
Okay. Well, for the rest of our show, we are. Did you have any other stories you wanted to talk about?
Those are the big ones that are
Okay.
sticking out in my mind. Those
Okay.
are all the front page.
You've given plenty of reason to go get today's paper, and if it's waiting in your mailbox, go get it. It comes in the mail, right, for
Yep.
a lot of people?
It does, yeah.
Otherwise, you can get it at King's. You can get it everywhere. But we learned the number. We were going to have a trivia contest about this, but we never got around to it. The number one location for newspaper sales is the U.S. Post Office, right? Did you? You learned that, right? So if you're like the plurality of people, they pick up their paper at the post office. So you've given plenty of reason, and there's much, much more
Yeah.
to be found. So this week, we're talking to younger people to understand the challenges of being a young person in 2024. And yesterday we talked with Matthew Rice, who's 23, and got some interesting insights. And as long as Maria's here, I thought we would talk about what it's like to be 18 in 2024. So thank you for agreeing to talk to us
Yes,
about
of course.
that. What is it like?
Well, I do not feel like I'm 18. For one, I still feel I'm 16, 17, because as the years go by, you just get older and older, and you're like, wait, I'm not that old anymore, and I'm technically not a minor anymore. So that's kind of something I've been having to address. I'm like, I can't say, oh, I'm a minor. I'm like, oh, wait, I'm 18, so that is not.
I'm not anymore.
I'm not anymore. Definitely, because I did turn 18 recently. My birthday was in December, so I've kind of just still adjusting and like feeling that like I'm 18. I'm going to be graduating high school this year. I'm going to be leaving the island, and that is a huge thing, especially because on the island we're just all so isolated from everybody else that we kind of just have like the own little community. Like all our family is here, all our friends are here, but then you have to transition to a completely different area, both depending where you go for college. So that's definitely one thing that I'm going to have to adapt and realize. Oh, I'm going to be moving away from my parents. I'm not going to be relying on them necessarily as much as I used to. So that's definitely one of the big things about being 18.
Yeah. It's a huge step. It's a big deal. Yeah.
So we're talking about kind of the whole demographic of Generation Z, also known as Zoomers. You're a Zoomer?
Zoomer.
Sorry. Matthew didn't like that.
Really?
So please don't call me a Zoomer. I don't know why. He just didn't like that.
I don't think a lot of
Probably
Generation
not.
Z's like
It is
Zoomers.
kind of
because it's
trivializing.
kind of yeah, exactly.
Stupid, so sorry.
And it sounds too much like a boomer.
Yeah, Zoomer. Boomer.
I guess that's where that, comes from. Well, I'd rather be a Zoomer than a boomer, but I am a boomer, and I can't help that. But you could call me a Zoomer. Wouldn't bother me. But anyway, so I ticked off yesterday like 5 different reasons or 5 different things that face Zoomers. I'll just tick them off and see if any of them resonate with you or you have any feelings about them. Worries about ever owning a home. Worries about getting a job, and I know you've got a whole 4 years in front of you before you really, have that. But you may have friends or relatives that are a little older than you, and you certainly know, what's going on, what the concerns are. Mm-hmm. We talked a little bit about like Social Security and stuff like that, and he's not there. He's not at a point where he's worried about that yet. But the general state of the economy, a lot of younger people are working. You and I know someone that's working 3 jobs that's in this age range.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very common.
So the difficulty in finding like a career position, stress about the future of the climate, whether the planet is going to, what kind of shape the planet's going to be in when you're 30 and 40, 50 years old. And even worries about stressors that affect mental health, maybe sometimes too much social media, maybe sometimes too much isolation, just a lot to worry about, and geopolitics and war and all these things. And I think a lot of older people are not taking enough time to think about what it's like for you guys.
Yeah, those are all very valid concerns, and I agreed. I resonate with every single one of the concerns you listed out. Let's start from the housing. I've definitely thought of the housing, especially because here on the island specifically, housing is really, really difficult to obtain. It's also a personal thing because for me, I've had family come over they're refugees. They've come over to the island and they're trying to find places to stay. But it is very difficult to obtain housing here. And also with the person you mentioned that has 3 jobs, people are living paycheck to paycheck, basically on the verge of homelessness. You don't have enough money to do any like activities. You have to worry about your rent, you have to worry about your bills, your water bill, your electricity bill. You have to worry about all of that. Because compared to back when in the boomer generation, you could have one job and it'd be enough to buy a home, it'd be enough to sustain a whole family. Now that is not the case. When it comes to families, both in a standard American family, both the mom and the dad have to end up working because not just one can support it anymore unless you take a bunch of jobs. But even then, you're still going to be living paycheck to paycheck. And I definitely think the pandemic has something. The pandemic ruined everything. But that's besides the point. The pandemic, everything just doubled, tripled, quadrupled in price because we all had to isolate down. We had to isolate ourselves. We had to wear masks. We had to buy the necessities, everything to disinfect. We didn't want to catch the virus. Obviously, the virus was something new, and it was unknown. And there wasn't at the time where it came out, there wasn't a vaccine, so there was a lot of hysteria about it. So with the pandemic, everything was really expensive. My boss at the job I'm currently working at, she told me how much everything increased in price. So before the pandemic, there where I work, the price of everything was obviously still expensive because this is a tourist island, but it's just grown increasingly more expensive. A pack of sampler spoons for ice cream, she stopped doing that because the cost is just so much. She said that it's doubled in price, and then a lot of things even tripled in price. And then when it comes to groceries, I'm pretty sure we can all tell, like, oh, this wasn't that expensive. Obviously, when I was younger, I wouldn't really know much about grocery prices because I was a kid. But even then, I've noticed, this much for, let's say, a slice of pizza is now $6 when it was $2 back in the past. Like, what? The money increasing is crazy to witness, and being in the generation that it's expected where you have to work, and since I'm growing older, you have to work, you have to get a house, you have to eventually have a family. But how am I supposed to do all of that when everything is just really expensive and I can't even afford to live that lifestyle is kind of what really people my age demographic would really worry about, is what I would say.
Are you and your friends, or some of your friends, do you worry about the climate, the future of the planet?
I definitely do worry about the climate, especially because of all since we have social media and we have access to like all the world's information in the palm of our hands, we definitely notice all of that, and it comes up all the time. As much as we try to ignore it, because I'll say, "Oh, I really don't want to ruin my mood for the day looking at the state of the world," but it creeps up eventually, and you realize, "Oh, our planet is dying," along with the prices for everything. The planet is dying. Are we even going to be able to get those houses? Like, money costs aside, are we even going to be able to live normally?
Will we be alive? Will the human race be alive?
Like, will we still be alive by in 20, 30 years? That is very, very unknown. Like, the ice caps are melting. I think I saw it was in the North Pole, like all the ice caps were melting, and how different it looks compared to 30, 40 years ago and how it does now. And especially with like the huge consumerism that happens in the world with cars, gasoline, everything like emission that goes into the air. Have you realized, this is something I've realized, when I look at the sky, I don't see stars anymore. That's something I realized when I was a kid. I vividly remember looking out of the door of the car and looking up in the sky and seeing just a plethora of stars, so many stars in the sky, but now I can barely find any. It will be pitch black outside and I look up and there's nothing in the sky. There's not a little white dot. There's nothing in the sky anymore.
So with all of these worries and concerns, how do you snap out of that? What do you focus on to feel better and hopeful and optimistic? What are you optimistic about,
Optimistic about
or
growing
at
up.
least hopeful?
I'm hopeful.
Looking forward from where we are right now.
I'm hopeful that because my generation, at least majority of my generation, really understands the problems that just trickled down over the years. I really hope that more people in my age demographic will get into positions of power where they can actually make change. Because our current leaders in the position of power, obviously, they're not really helping with that change. But if we have more young voices and more people who have the same ideals that I have, I'm very optimistic that more of us can get into office and more of us can get into big positions of power. And with writing, for example, writing is a very powerful tool. It really moves people when you publish things out. And since I'm still young, I have a different perspective on things. So definitely advocating and getting stuff out there is what I'm hopeful for our generation. I know more people in my age demographic that have the same thoughts as me compared to older generations where they're more conservative and they're more hard-headed when it comes to certain issues like this. So that's one thing I'm very hopeful for, that once we grow older, we'll be able to actually try to do something.
Yeah.
But it is
And
also
I feel like
a
you
concern.
are, actually. I feel like some of the older members of your generation are already being so active and making more of a change than we've seen before. So I think you're right to be hopeful about that.
So that requires like a belief in the system, democracy and capitalism and all that, the system. Do you have some friends that don't believe in the system? Or does your generation, at least your cohorts, do they believe that they can work within the system and make a change? I mean, you obviously do.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a lot of friends that feel the same way?
Usually, I feel like the people you hang out with are what they say about you. So I'm thankful to have a friend group who has like the same thoughts as I do, even maybe it's not like as deep as I think about it, but definitely that think the same things of me. I can't say it because I know for my class in general, I'm talking about like my grade in general, we don't all hold the same ideals, but I do feel like we are more open to talking with each other and discussing with that about each other, especially with the community since we're so small. I can't just actively ignore someone just because of that. I have to find a middle ground where we can at least agree on some stuff. And obviously we're all human. We're not all going to agree on everything.
Right.
But that's the most we can do is find a middle ground where we can live peacefully and we can coexist with each other.
Yeah.
Beautiful. One of the things that some older people say about the younger generations are words. I'll just say the words. Some people say lazy. Some people talk about a poor work ethic. Is that fair?
I do not think that's fair because I'm not going to say, oh, my generation, we're all not lazy. Every age demographic has lazy people. Even every demographic has lazy people.
I'm going to agree with that.
And even then, we're not always perfect. We're not always going to be doing everything. There's days where you just want to laze around and kind of catch up on your mental state. I do that a lot. I'll really power through a week of school, but then when the weekend comes, I'm just sleeping. I'm just sleeping the whole day, just trying to recover and energize and everything. When it comes to work ethic, something I would say about that is my generation, we're more so we don't want to be pushed around. Do you know the saying that the customer is always right?
I hate that saying so
No,
much.
that is not true.
Yeah.
Especially where I work in a very touristy area. No, the customer's not always right. I'm pretty sure a lot of the viewers would roll their eyes. Oh, the customer's always right. No, that's not true. I think it's more so that we're not being pushed around as much. Obviously, we respect our elders, but just because you're older doesn't mean you deserve entitlement and respect. Respect and entitlement is something you earn, not something you have just because of your age.
Along those lines, do you feel like your generation maybe tackling the crazy employers that just require way too much.
Can you emphasize a little bit about that?
Like, there's just been a lot in the news about employers that go over the top, that reach out to employees over the weekend that are not understanding when an employee is sick or has a family member that's sick.
Demanding long hours.
Demanding long hours without the correct compensation. That kind of thing.
Yeah, humans, we're not machines. We're all humans. Long hours, even though those employers wouldn't want to do what they're asking of other people. I think it's really something about learning your worth is something I think most people in my age demographic would agree with. Knowing your worth and knowing where boundaries have to be placed. Obviously, if it's a job, it's kind of hard with hierarchy and everything. But definitely, if there's more push, like I said, more push, more voice, more protest against all of this, that can definitely change. And I do agree with that. I've thankfully have had people who've employed me be very understanding that, oh, you're a student, you're still young, you still have to do all of this. Oh, it's your summer. Obviously, you don't want to be working all the time.
Right.
But when it comes to older, not older, but maybe 20, like in the 20 area when it comes to age, I could definitely see where that would apply, just the over demanding and everything.
Right. Especially when we live in a time period where we can connect with each other instantly. And it just seems like with that technology, what I'm hearing via the news is that employers are taking advantage of that, texting when they shouldn't be texting their employees.
Boundaries, please. Well, anybody who has this idea that your generation doesn't have a good work ethic, let's keep in mind that these are people, some of them working 2 and 3 jobs. I don't know anybody who works 2 or 3 jobs that doesn't have a good work ethic. That doesn't fit, that doesn't work. You know, the governor's office is going to change hands at the end of this year or in next January. I wish you were 10 years older. I'd write you in for governor.
No,
We need this kind of clarity that you have. It's really, really nice. So do you have any other questions about what it's like to be 18?
Well, I just want to talk a little bit about the difference between being a teen on the island as opposed to being a teen off island. What kind of differences do you see, and how can adult islanders work to understand more?
For me, when I go to any high school or any school that's remotely bigger, I'm just like, oh my gosh, they have vending machines in the school. It's definitely something for me. Most of my family, we don't get out of the house as much. We don't really travel. There's definitely a lot of people on the islands, like in the school, who travel a lot, so they know how life is kind of outside of that. But if you're someone like me who's been grown and raised on the island, you don't really get to experience all that much. The most I've socialized, I'd say, is when I'd play a sport.
Right.
And we'd go to bigger schools. Obviously, it's schools in the area, but there'd be times where we'd go to like bigger schools and we'd see kind of how the population and the student life is. And I'm just like, oh, this is how a normal, typical American high school looks. Our high school kind of fits outside of that norm. The island, the socializing aspect, like we've kind of talked about earlier, the age demographic group, everybody here, my age, they're in high school. Majority. Some might not be in high school, but majority my age are in the high school. But what happens when we graduate and most of us leave the island? Then that age demographic just decreased exponentially. It really decreased. I have a friend of mine, actually. Let's see if he sees this. I have a friend of mine, actually, and he does online classes for college. And he mentioned the biggest factor for him, like the biggest struggle for him, is socializing, especially because his age demographic, they're not on the island. They'll occasionally come to visit, obviously, because our family is here, but that their age demographic is not on the island. Most of the ages, younger people, they're all in schools. That's why they're on the island. And then you have your adults. So there's the younger people who are in school, and then there's a huge gap between that, and then you get to your adults. So that's a huge thing with the island schools.
It's really interesting.
Would you say that gap is like 20 to 30, 20 to 40? How wide?
Maybe not 20 to 40, maybe 20 to 30.
Okay.
I'm kind of basing my experience off of my summer time, but with summer, more age demographics come to the island, obviously, to work. But when we're off season, where is everybody that is younger? They're all in college.
Yeah.
They're not here on the island. They'll occasionally come to visit, but they're not here. And also with the island, what can you do?
It's still that, yeah.
Yeah, like what
Took
can
a
we
while
do?
for us to get to this point, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yo, what can we do here exactly? I guess we can go to a restaurant, and then we can go bowling maybe, and maybe go for a night drive. But it kind of ends there. There's really not a lot of things you can do here on the island.
What kinds of things would you like to see?
Oh, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know that also because I haven't really experienced it. Like what I would want to have.
Would you want, for example, like a place to dance? Would that be fun for people? do you
Place
think?
dance. Yeah, that'd be nice. Just because a lot of things here, it's just restaurants, buildings, and then we have the bowling alley.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of that stuff.
Would you want more of a arcade place?
An
Would that-
arcade sounds fun. I would definitely frequent that. But it's also a thing is you go, and then you end up getting bored.
Yeah, you wear it out.
You wear it out.
We need a big giant mall, like Alderwood Mall in Linwood. We need
People would
take
freak
a
out.
quarter of the island, right? And then you'd have a mall, right? That'd be cool.
I would go there. But also, if we think of, I don't think we'd get a mall on the island. But
I
if
don't
we
think
I'm kidding.
think, yeah, I was like mall. But if we were to, just imagine how expensive it would be.
Oh, yeah.
It would be.
Well,
Crazy.
many construction people on the island just like, what? That sounds really good. I'd love to build a mall, but we're just joking.
Yeah.
But yeah, the good news is that you get out there, you get out in the world, you do the 4-year college, you maybe even get a job in big crazy Seattle, and then it's like I kind of miss it. I kind of miss the island, and I saw it in Missouri when I reported in a small town, identical size to Friday Harbor. After a while, it just starts pulling you back. You just kind of miss it, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's,
It happened to me
all
very,
the time.
very quickly when I
Happens
was
so
in
much.
college. I was like almost immediately. Okay, like college, that wasn't the problem. It's just that I knew my home was where I wanted to be.
Yeah. So many people do come back, and maybe you'll come back. We'd be lucky if you did. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you both. This has been this conversation far exceeded my expectations, and
Thank you.
you're an amazing person and an incredible representative of the school system here, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that they're going to get my opinion in one of these shows, and there it is. And you ask amazing questions, and I like the rapport that has developed between the two of you. I think you've added a lot to the paper. In the news business, we kind of thrive on younger people, the perspective, the energy, and then they go. So we just constantly are cycling through. But I can assure you, you've added more than you could imagine to Heather's franchise, and
Absolutely.
yeah, so it's and it keeps us young to keep
right.
the young people around and see the world through their eyes. So
Yeah.
thank you both very much. Before we go, I want to make an announcement for our friend David Messmer. Do what? I don't know what that means.
Pet of the week.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Yes.
I knew.
POW. The POW.
Pet of the week.
Heather, who do we have
We
today?
have Ruby 2, who is a mixed cattle dog and black lab.
Beautiful.
She's 1 year
dog.
old.
Wow.
She is beautiful. She looks
She's
kind
so
of like a
cute.
German Shepherd. She's got really pointy ears. She's they describe her personality as a ball of fun, bouncy, and communicative. So yeah, she's
Very alert.
at the
Kind of
look
like
at
a
her.
model. Like,
Yeah,
ready for my picture. Smiling, ears standing up. It's
Yeah,
a happy-looking dog.
she is.
So, yeah, thank you for that. Sorry, almost
Yeah.
forgot our POW.
No, we can't forget that.
Thank you, Jeremy. So I want to just read this real quick for our friend David Messmer. After 3 years on Spring Street, David Messmer, who appears on CNL2 as a multi-instrumentalist, needs to downsize and needs new space to live, and where he can continue his musical work, he needs to find a new home on San Juan Island. The home he's looking for can be, I love this, the home he's looking for can be primitive, but must have a bathroom. That is a really good
I would hope
quality.
That is a good
It's a
description.
really good quality of a home. It can be primitive, but must have a bathroom. Contact David at 360-375-0410 if you can help him out. 360-375-0410. And I don't know if that phone number is on the website, Jeremy, is it? No, we'll try to do that. If you know of an affordable home or cabin for rent, David thanks you. And kind of sad that we have to use TV time to try to find housing for a person who's lived here since the 80s.
Yeah.
But that's where we are. And there's a lot of, I don't know about a lot, but I know that from time to time there are nice cabins or smaller homes that come up that don't make it into the advertising. And sometimes people like to make sure that it's somebody who's been here a while. And
Yeah.
David, checks all those check boxes. So thank you for letting me read that. And if anybody doesn't have anything else, nothing else, thanks again. I think we're done. It's 12:52. Sometimes we stop a little bit early. But this was a great show. I'm really proud of this. This is, I hope you liked it because this is a home run for me. So if you like this, there'll be more of them. If you don't like it, there'll be more of them. So that's it. So thank you, Jeremy. And we're done. I don't know if you have any of David's music to play on the way out, but we'll see how Jeremy ends the show today. Thank you for
Thanks for
joining
having us.
Yes, thank you so much for having us.
hit your button.
This is All Blues by Miles Davis. It's been covered greatly. It's a tune in 6/8. It's not a waltz, but it's in 6, so you get that 3/4 feel.